There's no time. Take this. Keep it safe. Information. The Ice Reach Coven. At work in the west. Just need more proof. Go! They're coming! Don't trust them. Only Lyris. She's...
You there! What did that fugitive tell you? Who are you? Another spy? What did this lying Easterner say to you? Assisting a fugitive is a crime in Hafingar Hold. Unless you want to find out how we deal with traitors and spies, tell me what he said to you. Lucky for you. If he had told you any seditious lies and you decided to keep them from us, you'd have been in real trouble. Don't start spreading rumors about Reach witches. You go panicking the good folk of Solitude and I'll toss you in a cell. And how is it you know so much about this witch work? And my grandfather killed 12 giants with his bare hands. But at least he had the good grace to string a few of their teeth around his neck before he made the claim. Got any proof? Or do you want to reconsider making a false report, eh? The word of an outsider isn't worth mammoth spit. Keep sticking your nose where it doesn't belong and you'll wind up just like him. Mind your own business, or you'll find that Solitude doesn't take kindly to instigators and strangers. Go on. Just remember, I'll be keeping an eye on you.
I mean it! One step closer, and I'll stick you like a hawker! I don't know any Brondold. That is what I told the guards, and that is what I'm telling you. I don't want any more trouble. You make me stab you, and it's my word against yours. Dead? Stone's mercy. And I'm next, aren't I? I promise. I don't know anything. I won't make any trouble. I'll disappear. I don't even like it here. You'll never see me again. He did not tell me a lot. Said he was tracking some bad people. Asked me to keep an eye out for any unusual comings and goings. He'd come by now and then with a sweet roll and a few coins for my trouble. He was nice. The last time we spoke, it was about the men with the job postings. A pair of wolves in sheep's clothing. Trying to blend in, but still off around the edges. Same with their horses. Sheared mountain mares. Come from the Reach, I wager. Flyers. They were hanging them at the inn around the city. Something about a lucrative opportunity in the Druidec Mountains. I really did not pay them a lot of attention. I was more interested in the men distributing them. Take Brondle's horse and run before someone less friendly comes to find me. Braun was going to take me back east after he finished here. I want to live where strangers are welcomed with a smile instead of a scowl. I hear Wilhelm is like that. We are stuck between the despot of Markarth and the Skald King of the East. Both sniff around like wolves, waiting for a moment of weakness to strike. Not a day goes by without a threat of war. It is exhausting living this way. They'd be wise to. The only time Reachmen and Nords meet is to kill each other. I always heard they were raiders and barbarians. No interest in honest labor, or writing for that matter. Not the sort to post job notices. Who knows? Maybe they really do need laborers. Can't imagine Reachmen would hire Nords, though. It doesn't make a lot of sense. A wild land full of wild folk, located south and west of here. It's changed hands between Reachmen and the Nords more times than I can count. But they control the territory now. Seeing Reachmen wandering the streets of Solitude, it makes me nervous. You'd feel the same if you knew the tales of the fall of Markarth. What the Reachmen do to folks they capture. Better to slice your own throat than let those barbarians take you alive. If they raid our hold, just run and don't look back.
Hey! Don't step on the dice. There a reason you're interrupting our game, pork face? Don't know any Brondhold. Don't know you. Either way, I got nothing to tell you. Get lost. I'm on a winning streak.
My friend asked nicely. Talk, or the next thing to roll will be your heads.
Kassala! She handles all the smuggling in Solitude. Her warehouse is on the docks.
That wasn't so hard. Come on, partner. We're done here.
Who gave you the right to walk in here and bully my friend? Did my father send you? Because he doesn't like Mog. But I like Mog. Mog doesn't care that I'm a princess, and it doesn't matter to me that Mog's a scoundrel. If my father didn't send you, why are you threatening my friend? Smelly bastards. Cheap, too. Wouldn't buy us a drink. They hung their flyers and left without saying a word. Then, a different smelly bastard showed up to sign on workers. He was a charmer, though. His breeches fit well. And he was handsome. Not a Nord. Breton, maybe? I didn't really listen to what he was saying. A half-dozen workers left with him. Off to the Drudok Mountains or someplace. He hasn't been back since.
Let's talk outside, partner. So we've got a mysterious Breton possibly working with Reachmen, recruiting workers for some unknown purpose. Plus, there's a smuggler hiding unknown contraband in a warehouse down by the docks. I say we deal with the smuggler first. We know where to find her, and we more or less know what she's up to. And if the two are connected, maybe the smuggler can help us narrow our search for the Breton. Ready to visit Kassala's warehouse?
Private property. Get lost. Wait. A half-giant? Is that Lyris Titanborn? Blood and Blade. Everyone knows Lyris Titanborn. What a woman. She's even larger than I imagined. No wonder she fought Swordmaster Sai Sahan to a draw. Wait, is he here too? Until Kassala returns, I'd be happy to keep fair Lyris company in her stead. Alas, Kassala doesn't allow visitors when she isn't here to conduct business. But we can wait out here. Do you think Lyris would autograph my ancestral scabbard? It would mean so much to my son. When I have one. Do you know if Lyris is betrothed? Oh, thank you, thank you! You don't know how much this means to me.
I don't know what you said to him, but this is our chance. Try the lock. Good job with the sentry. You got rid of him and I didn't have to bash him or anything. See if you can pick the lock while I keep watch. Really? I feel like I've picked 1,000 of them by now. Here you go. I've got plenty.
I had a feeling it wasn't just an opportunistic thief trying to steal my cargo. What are you after? A plot against the High King? Involving plundered antiquities from Hammerfell? Preposterous. I'm simply facilitating a transaction between treasure hunters and a rich collector. So, who am I paying the bribe to? You or the High King? Give me that! Tribal crafts my arse. I told that son of a skeever I don't deal in arcane goods. Especially ones from the Reach. Nothing but sorrow comes from such business. This isn't... no name. Just instructions and gold. Shipments come in, I make sure no one looks too closely and wait for a pickup. Never see a same face twice. Last time it was a smooth-talking Breton with Nord laborers in tow. You want more? I need assurances. They're taking the cargo to an abandoned lodge in the foothills north of Solitude. Occasionally used it myself when the city guard was being thorough. Want to catch them? Start there. If that's all, we're leaving. I'm not losing my head over this. The Breton was sly. Handsome, even. Thought he could charm me into taking on additional shipments. Now that I know what's involved, the trouble isn't worth it. The Nords were local, hired hands from the Lonely Troll. I'm paid not to ask too many questions. This arrangement was a lucrative one. I trusted them, but it seems they took advantage of my natural greed. That won't happen again.
Brondhold had good instincts. We're definitely onto something. Our mystery buyer is hiring locals to haul these urns and reach fetishes out of the city. But for what purpose? The Coven was also perfecting some kind of ritual in Icereach. Something to do with storms. If these fetishes are from Icereach, you may be onto something. Still, why involve the locals? Seems like an unnecessary risk. Good idea. Head there while I circle around from the other direction. Maybe I can catch them before they reach the lodge. Just be careful. I'd rather not lose another partner at this point in the investigation. Give your sentry my best, and tell him I owe him an autograph.
Oh, he's gonna get more than an autograph if I see him again.
All I found were these Reachmen stalking the pass. Decided they'd rather die than talk, so I obliged. They don't look like they're from Icereach, but they are wearing the Coven's medallions. Anyway, did you find the lodge? Kilcreath? The temple to Meridia? Why would the Icereach Coven target a local Daedra cult? Damn, we're running out of time. I'll head back to Solitude and try again to warn High King Svargrim. You go to Kilcreath Temple and alert Meridia's priests. I'll meet you there as soon as I can. You'll be going up against the Coven by yourself. Warn the priests. If there's an opportunity to safely stop or delay the ritual, by all means, but don't take any unnecessary chances. I still don't want to lose another partner. Good luck.
Didn't I send you to Solitude? This place isn't safe. The Icereach Coven performed a ritual and summoned one of those Hero Storms. Now Kilcreath Temple is crawling with Hero Fiends. I'm sorry, but you're too late. The Coven unleashed their unnatural Hero Storm, and now the entire area is overrun by vampires and Hero Fiends. Still, meeting you again is fortuitous. We worked well together before, and I could use your help. There may be survivors who could use your help. And if we can learn more about the ritual that summoned the Hero Storm, we might be able to determine how to stop them. Or at the very least, we can figure out where they plan to strike next. I could use your help to examine the strange pikes erected around the temple. Hero Fiends and vampires roam the area, making it difficult to get close. Hence the need for your assistance. You see, I'm not that confident in my combat prowess. The Icereach Coven performed a ritual that unleashed a Hero Storm on the temple. It struck without warning and evaporated as quickly as it began. But in its wake, it left behind Hero Fiends. Innocent priests and pilgrims transformed into monsters. That's what I heard the Icereach Coven call the storm that struck Kilcreath Temple. It's magical in nature. The result of some sort of ritual performed by the witches. I'm still investigating, but I think the Hero Fiends are a byproduct of the storm. Yes, thanks to you. They're investigating vampiric activity in another part of the region, and attempting to identify the vampire we saw talking to the witch matron. In the meantime, they left me to deal with my own investigation. House Ravenwatch's resources are limited, and Skyrim is a big place. We operate alone or in groups as necessary, depending on the situation. My task is to track down the remains stolen from Bankurai, and determine what the Coven is doing with them. I tracked remains stolen from a mass grave in Bankurai. Ancient vampire remains, to be exact, and werewolf remains as well. They were smuggled through Solitude to wind up in the hands of the Icereach Coven. Now I need to determine why. What we saw in the barrow was a prototype of sorts. This Hero Storm was far more powerful. The storm struck the temple, leaving vampires and Hero Fiends in its wake. I still need to determine the exact mechanism of these storms. These depleted witch pikes expended a lot of power to summon the Hero Storm. Now they're just ordinary sticks, but even in this state, they tell us much about the ritual that flowed through them. I'm sure now that the pikes play a significant role as focal points for the storm ritual. The prepared pikes are depleted as the ritual runs its course, but I sensed lingering energy, including a Daedric taint. And we found an intriguing residue. It's the remains of an alchemical poultice that was spread over the pikes.
Smells like rotting fungus, doesn't it? With a little study, I should be able to identify each ingredient in its makeup. Then I can begin to understand the ritual. One other thing I want to check first. I noticed the pilgrims leading a cart away from the temple right before the storm hit. Coven members could have tried to slip away among the innocents. The cart should be along the road south of the temple. Strange. They're alive but unresponsive. Check the crates and see if they contain the smuggled items. Did you find anything of interest in the crate? I can't believe anyone knowingly involved would have let themselves be exposed to the storm. Perhaps the pilgrims were tricked into transporting the crate. Or maybe it was slipped into their cart. Yes, of course. Though I fear what we may find there. The temple was clearly at the center of the storm. Regardless, there's still a lot we don't know about the effects of this ritual. Observing the target area could offer new insights. These are temple priests and pilgrims. It seems the storm killed them. I'll need to perform more tests. But from what we've seen, I believe the storm affects mortals in 3 distinct ways. It kills them, transforms them into harrow fiends, or leaves them mindless. I suppose I'd say it harrowed those poor pilgrims. I want to learn more about the ritual, and how it produces the harrow storms. And I need to confirm my theories about the storm's effects. I'll start by examining the residue from the witch pike to identify the components used to power the ritual. My alchemical equipment. It's extremely fragile, so I left it in my pack. I hid it among a copse of trees once I saw all the vampires and harrow fiends. Once I retrieve it, I can find a place to begin my analysis.
Looks like I made it back just in time. This place is crawling with vampires, and that one was about to make a meal out of you. House Ravenwatch. I've heard of them, but he's a long way from Rivenspire. Well, if you're willing to trust a vampire, I suppose I can too. I spotted a coven witch. If we hurry, we might be able to catch her. On the cliff overlooking the temple. Calls herself Sister Embrit. I was going to rush her, but I wanted to make sure you hadn't run afoul of any of these monsters first. No offense, Fen. Come on. If we're lucky, the witch is still up there.
Perhaps I could question the witch before you introduce her to your impressive axe blade? Do you see? These are the same as the urns smuggled from Bankarai. They didn't just shatter, they exploded. I can sense traces of magicka clinging to the shards that match the energy used in the storm ritual. These other fragments, though. All this rubble scattered around didn't just come from these urns. The texture and patterns are different. They appear to have used the funerary dust in the urns to summon the harrow storms. But I'm not sure what was inside the larger vessels. Look at the shape of the fragments. They come from a hollow receptacle of some sort. Something at least as tall as you. Perhaps larger. Just another piece of the puzzle. Maybe when I analyze the witch pike residue, an answer will suggest itself. Thank you, but no. I try to avoid large population centers. The temptation. You understand. I'll find someplace nearby, but out of the way where I can set up my equipment and work undisturbed. I'll send word when I have something to report. I met a clever woman who lives in the bog near Morthal. Old Mjolnir's a dying breed among the Nords, a practitioner of the old magic. The locals both admire and fear her. If anyone can help me untangle the Coven's ritual, it's her. Mjolnir's experience with the old ways and reach magic make her ideally suited to assist me in this endeavor. She's the closest thing to an expert we're likely to find out here. At least one who doesn't want to feed our eyes to a harpy. Western Skyrim consists of 3 holds: Hafengar, Hjalmarch, and Carthald. Morthal is the capital of Hjalmarch. It's located southeast of Solitude, along the river Hjal. Old Mjolnir lives in the marshlands nearby. The Ravenwatch has had to curtail rogue vampire clans, and put down feral blood fiends on occasion, but I've never dealt with anything like this before. people turning into Harrow fiends, or becoming mindless harrowed. It's a nightmare. Yes, but more research is required to confirm anything. Still, from what we observed here, it appears the Harrowstorm produced 3 distinct results in those caught within it. It turned them into Harrow fiends, or harrowed, or it simply killed them.
So, what did your vampire friend discover? Reach witches summoning magical storms to create feral vampires? That's horrible, but to what purpose? Well, that's the next puzzle to solve. First, we need to get this information to the Queen. Here. This was for Brondel, but it's yours now. Queen Gerhild needs to hear what we discovered at Kilcreath Temple. Hopefully that will be enough for her to get us an audience with High King Svargrim. The Queen seemed reasonable. She'll believe us. As for Svargrim, who can tell? I haven't met the man, but everything I've heard describes him as prideful, arrogant, and hard-headed. Even with the Queen's help, there's no guarantee. I'd like to knock down the palace door, grab him by the throat, and shake him until he listens. That would probably start a war, though, and Yoren specifically asked me to avoid that. For now, let's bring our evidence to Queen Gerhild. If there's anything else we need to discuss, let's get it out of the way now, before we return to Solitude. Hey, you and Fëanorian came to that conclusion, not me. Still, it makes as much sense as anything. As to why, I have no idea. This connection to vampires, though, that's troubling. We should keep Fen away until we get into Svargrim's good graces. No, I need you, and you've already been seen working with me. What I don't want to do is risk bringing an unknown factor into the equation, especially not an unknown vampire when vampires are clearly working with the Icereach Coven. A clever woman? Out here? Nords are extremely distrustful of magic, especially Nords from Western Skyrim. I'm surprised the people of Morthal tolerate her presence. If anyone can help Fen figure out the Coven's ritual, though, it would be her. Our priority remains getting an audience with High King Svargrim. We need to convince him that the Icereach Coven is a threat to his kingdom, and get him to help us stop them. Let's return to Solitude and present our findings to the Queen. Clever men and women are Nords with an aptitude for magic, though most use the term to refer to practitioners of the old ways. They're rare. Not the usual adepts found at the Mages Guild. Distrust of magic runs deep in Skyrim, especially out here. Could be that the elves our ancestors fought soured our taste for magic. Or maybe there weren't enough skalds singing about wizards going to Sovngarde. Might be that Nords just prefer their natural talents. Either way, magic isn't popular here.
Be strong, Svanna.
Mother! No! No!
Svanna, your father, the kingdom. Watch over.
Mother! No! You can't die! Mother!
Sire, the assassins might return. You must get to somewhere safe.
Have Yoren's lackeys come to gloat?
We came here to warn you, Your Highness.
And yet my wife lies dead.
If you had listened to us...
Like she did. If I determine Yoren had a hand in this, there will be war! Someone take care of my wife!
Father, please.
Gods, what a disaster. The Queen's been assassinated and Svargrim still refuses to listen to reason. We need to find a way to set things right. Good question. The guards should have been able to handle a run-of-the-mill assassin. This could be connected to the Icereach Coven. In fact, I'd wager my axe that it is. Look around. See if you can find any indication of how the assassin got in and out of the palace so easily. Maybe even turn up something that ties the murderer to the Coven. I'll make sure the princess is all right. Svanna's taking this pretty hard. I suppose most daughters feel close to their mothers. Not that I'd know, I never knew my mother. Sorry, don't mind me. Did you find anything that might lead us to the assassin? We've seen these medallions before. On the Reachman near Kilcreath. And I saw them on the witches in Icereach. The assassin definitely seems to be in league with the Coven. But can we get Svargrim to believe that and accept the danger he's in? Svargrim has every right to be angry. He watched his wife die right before his eyes. But he's the High King. He doesn't have the right to be stupid. Time to make Svargrim confront some hard truths. Come on, the Sword Thane led the king upstairs. Your Highness, please. Your kingdom is in grave danger.
My queen's blood hasn't yet cooled, and already Yoren's lackeys hound me.
We have proof that the Coven threatening your kingdom is responsible for the Queen's death. Show him, partner.
Does Yoren think me so weak that he believes his half-giant can twist my arm and fill my head with lies? I am not so easily duped, outsider. Reach witches. They pose no threat. We've beaten back those wild dogs time and time again, while our brothers to the east bow down to a poetry-writing milk drinker. I will not be lectured on such matters by the likes of you. Tales told around campfires to scare the children. Storms happen here all the time, and none of them spawn monsters. The last spy who spoke of such things, well, he no longer speaks of such things. I am the Wolf of Solitude. I know my enemies. You dishonor my wife's name by letting it pass through your treacherous lips. Away with you! And pray I don't find evidence that ties you to the Queen's murder. That would not go so well for you.
We'll leave you to your grief, Your Highness.
My mother. She told me she gave the mighty Lyris Titanborn an important task. Tell me, what were you doing for my mother? Threat? What threat? And do you think this is why someone came into the palace and killed her? And did you tell my father all this? Is he rallying the soldiers? Alerting the other holds? My father sees Yoren's plots everywhere, even in his spicy venison stew. Well, I won't let my mother's death be for nothing. She trusted you, and so will I. My father be damned. Please, find whoever did this and stop them. I saw the assassin. He moved fast. Unbelievably fast. He leaped through the window after stabbing my mother. By that time, the guards had gathered, so I guess he decided to flee. Try to follow his trail. Someone outside must have seen something.
He was fast, that's for certain. Here and gone before the guards could even draw their swords. Other than that, I didn't get a good look. The inside of his hood was nothing but shadows. My father? Listen to me? When horkers fly, maybe. But probably not even then. He gave up on me a long time ago. I'm sorry. I'm no use to you. No use to anyone. I'm not my mother. Never will be. But I swear I'll do whatever I can to help you. You have my word on that.
No. My mother... The last time we spoke, I hurled a mug at her. But I came when she summoned me. Just in time to see her murdered. I need to pull myself together. She asked me to watch over my father. The kingdom. I can't let her down.
My wife. She is like ice. So cold. So pale. All the warmth sucked out of her. There was a commotion at the palace. Everyone was headed that way. Except one man. No, not a man. He wore an eye patch. But his face was bestial. He dragged her along like a bone between a dog's teeth. Then he tossed her aside, pale as snow. He was fast, so fast, ran toward the Hall of the Dead. He never even looked back at what he had done.
Will you pray with me for these poor souls, cut down and bound for the Hall of the Dead much too soon? It was a monster. A vampire. I have seen such creatures before, but this one wore an eye patch. It moved like a shadow and took sustenance from these poor souls. I called upon Arce's grace, and the vampire fled before his sacred presence. Toward the main gate, I prayed the guard finished off the depraved creature before it took another innocent life.
You again? Didn't I warn you about putting your nose where it doesn't belong? A vampire? I don't know what you're talking about. But whoever it was tore out Senolia's throat and fled through the gate before I could stop him. What do you know about all this? And why is it any of your business? The Queen's dead? What about the High King? He'll have my head for letting the assassin slip away. Yeah. It's not like I opened the gate and let him slink off. The real problem's at the palace. No more questions. I've got to secure the gate and take care of poor Senolia.
This is Svargrim's fault. He should have heeded us from the start. Damn Svargrim and his distrust of Yoren. How many more of his people have to die before he accepts the truth and lets us help him? Forget that for now. Tell me about the assassin. Did anyone get a good look at the murderer? That would explain the assassin's swiftness and ability to escape so easily. We knew the Ice Reach Coven had vampires on their side, but using them so blatantly. Anything else to report? Well then, time to fight fire with fire. They've got evil vampires, and we've got a friendly one. Let's find out exactly what your friend Fen knows about vampire clans in the area. Where did you tell me Fen was going again? Right, to research the ritual. Go find them and see what you can learn. I'll stay with Svanna. Bring her up to speed on everything we've uncovered. We're going to need her to get the High King to trust us. And I'm calling him Fen. It's simpler.
Welcome to the middle of nowhere, my friend. You must be freezing. Warm yourself by the fire, and tell me how your audience with the High King went. A bold move, even for them. Old Mjolnir and I have been comparing notes, and we've made some progress studying the Harrowstorm ritual. What happened to your large friend with the axe, by the way? We knew that vampires were working with the Coven. And old Mjolnir and I can say with certainty that the feral Harrow Fiends are byproducts of Harrow Storms. You think the assassin was one of the vampires in league with the Coven? An eye patch? That's uncommon. And this insignia, I've seen it before. It's the same as the symbol that decorates the urns smuggled out of Bankurai. If it belongs to a vampire bloodline, I'm not familiar with it. I suggest you ask Mjolnir.
Local wisdom dictates that only the very brave or the very foolish seek the counsel of vampires and old crones. Which are you, I wonder? Well, out with it. What can old Mjolnir do for you? A grim talisman. It bears an enchantment of some kind, though the symbol upon it holds no significance that I'm aware of. I can help find the owner of this medallion. But I need some specific items to cast such a divination. Bring me the bones of a wolf and a deathbell plant pulled up by its roots. I need the plant alive. The wolf, not so much. With those reagents, I can conjure a divination that will lead you directly to the last person to wear this medallion. Deathbell grows throughout the bog. You should have no trouble acquiring it. Wolves are plentiful in the wilderness around Morthal as well, but be cautious. Many seem afflicted by a strange curse. I would hate for you to run afoul of it. An icy rime clings to the wolves, sapping the heat and life from their bodies until only a frigid, shambling corpse remains. You are safe from them here, but be mindful out in the wild. Welcome back. Warm yourself by the fire, and tell me about the reagents I requested. Good, good. Divinations can be fickle. The longer we delay, the colder the trail grows. Let's see if we can catch the scent of your prey. Mother Wolf, hear we seek your blessing in our hunt. Lead us to our elusive quarry. Mother Wolf smiles upon you. She has seen fit to join your pack and aid you in your hunt. Mother Wolf has the scent and will lead you to your quarry. I have enchanted the medallion with a divination spell inextricably linked to its owner. Hold it to your nose and breathe deeply. It will guide you along his trail. Mother Wolf will guide you along the way, but you must still complete the hunt and find him. If the assassin eludes you, use the medallion to recover his trail. The wolf is relentless in her pursuit. The question is, will you be like the wolf?
What an interesting use of primitive magic. That was clearly your vampire assassin. He even wore an eye patch. It looked like he was at a small camp. And you saw that ball of magic, huh? It went to the west. That must be where you'll find the camp. Didn't I tell you? The clever woman's magic can be quite exciting. Not my usual process of investigation, but effective just the same. I'll leave old Mjolnir to continue our research and follow after you. I want to see how the divination plays out. Is it wrong to find these visions so intriguing? This one showed your assassin again, eye patch and all, by a cave near a waterfall. And the ball of magicka drifted toward the west again. I suggest we go that way as quickly as possible. There's nothing we can do for her. The vampire assassin drained all the blood from her body. He took his time with her, I think. Probably needed to recover his strength after the events at the palace. Let's get after him before the trail grows cold. Once again, I prove that I'm a scholar, not a warrior. I don't think he expected another vampire, though. I found the camp. Thought it was deserted, but the assassin must have been hiding in the shadows. He got the drop on me. It had more to do with your arrival than anything I did. Luckily, he left behind his belongings when he departed. I saw a map and some documents over there. Why don't you take a look while I deal with this wound? I didn't get a good look at that before. Mind bringing it over? Let me take a look at what you found. The letters are both addressed to the vampire assassin. Hentark Korb. That's an unusual title. This one gives the order to assassinate the queen, though the language is guarded. The other talks about miners and a final ritual. Very odd. It looks like a map to a mine in Carthald. It could be the one mentioned in the letter. If that's the target of another Harrowstorm ritual, we need to stop it. Head south to the mine. I'll get word to Lyris and have her meet you there. My particular habits aside, one of us needs to find the assassin, and the other needs to alert Lyris Titanborn. I can handle the latter. Besides, I have no intention entering Solitude. A courier should have no trouble picking Lyris out of a crowd.
We think this old mine is where our assassin fled to? Good a place as any to bury him. The clever woman helped you track the Queen's assassin to his hideout in Chillwind Depths. He got away, but left behind evidence that the Coven's planning another Harrowstorm in this mine, and we're going to wreck those plans. I miss anything? Good. Less chance of them scurrying away if they think they have the advantage. I'm tired of chasing these rats through the shadows. Are you ready to end this?
So the legends are true. But why is there a town down here?
This is impressive. And that's coming from someone who's been to Oblivion and back. I can't believe there's someone living down here. But at least it gives us a place to start looking. No, but all the evidence you found suggests he's down here somewhere. Let's go see what the miners can tell us. But be ready for anything. This place has ambush written all over it. Let's split up. Take a look around. Ask some questions. If the assassin passed through that ramshackle town, maybe someone saw him. Call out if you run into trouble, but don't make a move until we're all back together. We can cover more ground that way. and lone travelers are less conspicuous than a large group. Plus, if one of us gets into trouble, the others can come to the rescue. Just stay close to the town. We don't want to become totally separated down here.
My research into Skyrim included the legends of Blackreach, of course. I never expected to see it. It's massive. That letter you found in the assassin's hideout. It mentioned a mining consortium in the darkness below. Could this be the place? Right. If the assassin is part of a vampire clan working with the Coven, I couldn't imagine a better hiding place than this land of constant night. My guess is that most of the miners have no idea what they've gotten themselves into. You and Lyris should. It's our best lead for finding the assassin. But if the miners have even an inkling of vampire activity down here, my presence might confuse the issue. I'm sure I can find something to do while you investigate the town. I'll keep out of sight and check the surrounding area while you and Lyris investigate the town. Meet me on the far side of town when you're finished, and we'll compare notes. Most of the legends are superstitious nonsense. It was once supposedly ruled by the dwarves, though. If that's true, we'll see their ruins. There are also a lot of tales about monsters. Pale, feral humanoids, giant insects. Be on your guard.
Go bother someone else, Horker. If I don't finish this by the end of my shift, the Overseer will have my hide. What do I look like? The town crier? If the Overseer wanted us to be observant, he wouldn't have blindfolded us when he brought us here. You weren't? Up to this point, the Overseer and his wife have been extra careful about keeping the exact location of this mine and the mining town a secret. What makes you special, I wonder? Well, I haven't seen anyone like that. Now pick up a shovel and help me or hork off. I can't afford to lose this job.
You must be new to Dusktown. You've still got that look. Well, get settled in. You won't be allowed topside again until you complete your contract. So you might as well get comfortable. A prisoner? No. Why would you think that? But we did sign a contract. Promised to stay until the work was done and never breathe a word. Otherwise, being a bonded miner with the Bitterblade Mining Consortium is a lucrative opportunity. Can't say that I have. And I haven't seen any ghosts or monsters either, come to think of it. Even though the rest of the town can't stop talking about them. Anyway, welcome aboard and good mining. Oh, don't let the rumors scare you. Miners are a superstitious lot. And being this far underground can play havoc with your senses. If you need to know anything else about Dusktown or working for the Bitterblade Mining Consortium, just ask. You mean those fools setting up their ghost traps? They're harmless. And if they make the superstitious miners feel better, I'm all right with that. El and Overseer Erlvar have been nothing but fair and honest with all of us. El Bitterblade, she owns the consortium. Erlvar's her husband and our Overseer. They built Dusktown to support their claim. They're savvy business folk. Secretive, but that goes with the territory when you break a new mine. What a curious question. This whole place was tailor-made for undesirables. Tunnels, sunken barrows, dwarven ruins, lots of secluded spots. But don't worry, we're the only ones down here. El's precautions make sure of that. Same as most of us, I reckon. I saw a posting in a tavern, talked to an agent, signed some papers, and here I am. Well, after they blindfolded me and walked me all over snow and creation. The work is hard, but the wages are excellent.
What a waste of time. These people have no clue as to what's going on down here. I wonder if being stupid was part of their service contract. Did you turn up anything? Just because no one saw him doesn't mean he wasn't here. Let's talk to Fen before we start turning this place inside out. Maybe he's had better luck. Right, skulking in the shadows. Lead the way.
You're just in time. I spotted the vampire with the eye patch. He met with the Coven Witch, who immediately ordered her lackeys to place witch pikes around the area. With arcane phenomena, anything's possible. If we hurry, we can stop this Harrowstone before it causes any damage. You and Lyris should split up. We need to destroy all of the witch pikes. I'll track the Queen's assassin and the Coven Witch. You focus on stopping the Harrowstorm. I'll find you after that, and we'll confront the vampire and the witch together.
Move. You take the east side, I'll take the west. Then meet in the middle.
Well done, my friend. Before the witch could even begin her ritual, I saw the magicka disappear like the flame of a snuff candle. The witch and the vampire assassin fled to Kargandams, a dwarven ruin. We can deal with them in there. Time is of the essence. You get to the ruin, I'll find Lyris and we'll meet you there. It's southeast of Dusktown. If you get there before us, go inside and guard the entrance until we arrive.
Nice. That's the assassin.
Chase.
Time.
Busy long enough. Sister Sada shall revive Exox.
That's for Queen Gertrude, you bastard.
Now we need to find Sister Thada.
And be reborn.
Singalis, where is this place?
The Ashen Lord commands it, and so we live once more, Ulfra.
Alive again? How?
You have the Ice Reach Coven to thank for that, werewolf.
Using my recipes, witch.
I meant no disrespect to Exarch Singalis.
We're being watched, brother.
Next time, Thada, the Ashen Lord, will expect more than the restoration of a single reliquary. Now deal with the intruders, or I'll toss you to the Harrow Fiends.
Come out, little skeevers. Come out and play with Sister Sarda.
How many of your sisters am I gonna have to kill before you give up?
It's you who killed my dear sisters. Our vengeance will plague you beyond the grave.
One more witch for the pyre. Let's damn lost them.
You saw it too, right? That werewolf shed that statue like a snake sheds its skin. Was she inside that stone husk the whole time, waiting to be awakened? Or did the ritual somehow summon her into that vessel? There's a lot I still don't understand. A ritual, obviously. Remember the altar at Kilcreath? We found the urn, the reliquary, and shards from a large stone vessel. I think they were the remains of one of those stone husks. Not sure how, but it all ties back to the Harrowstorms. I thought the purpose of the Harrowstorms were to create Harrow Fiends, but now I think that's only a byproduct. The storm somehow gathered energy that the witch used to summon Ulfra the werewolf. Ulfra seems to think she was brought back to life. I've come to the conclusion that anything is possible where magic is concerned. I'm going to look around with Lyris, then return to Old Mjolnir to finish studying the witchpike residue. Maybe that will help me understand how the ritual works. Theoretically, using my knowledge of alchemy and Old Mjolnir's understanding of reach magic, we should be able to figure something out once we know what components were used in the ritual. I don't know of any Ashen Lord, but Exarch. I came across the term after the incident at the mass grave in Bankurai. It's a rank, used by the ancient army. Its members were buried in that unhallowed grave, and their remains were smuggled here. The Grey Host. It was an army of vampires and werewolves that rampaged across Hammerfell during the First Era. There aren't a lot of records remaining, and even the burial site was a closely held secret. Exarch was a rank, like General, I suppose. I don't know. But that's the impression I got from the witch's conversation with the Exarchs. I wish I knew more about this Singalis and Ulfra, though. And the Ashen Lord, for that matter. That's why I want to check the ritual site.
Damn it! The vampire and the werewolf are long gone. They called themselves Singalis and Ulfra. And they had an unusual rank or title, Exarch. I wonder what that means. Yeah, I heard. No idea who or what that is, though. Maybe Fen can make sense of what we saw down here. In the meantime, I'm gonna head back inside. I want to get a better look at those stone husks that were left behind. While Fen and I examine that ritual site more closely, you should return to Solitude and inform Svanna that her mother's assassin has been taken care of. She'd want to know. More than that, she deserves to know. I left Svanna back at the Lonely Troll under the care of that drunken orc Mog. Unless he ignored my rather stern warnings, he should be keeping the princess there. I'll meet you back in the city once we finish here. Anything that tells us more about what the Coven and its allies are trying to accomplish. Maybe something about this Ashen Lord. I'd even settle for a clue that points us to any other strongholds they have down here. We need something more to go on. Because I don't trust the security at the palace. Vampire or not, the assassin had too easy a time getting close to the Queen. Besides, Svanna feels comfortable at the tavern. I figured she needed some comfort after watching her mother die.
Finally! Waiting in a tavern without a drink is maddening. How do other people do it? And Mog hasn't been helpful. His solution to every problem involves a great amount of alcohol. What news of the bastard who murdered my mother? Did you find him? I would have preferred to see him dragged back here for a proper trial and execution. But at least justice has been served. Were you able to determine who was behind the murder? Was it connected to the threat you came to warn my father about? Damn those Reach witches! And damn my father for being so obstinate! But what does the Coven want? Are they planning to kill my father? What else can you tell me about this threat to our kingdom? That's horrible. But there must be more to this than simply turning my people into monsters. Well, I'll do what I can to help you. Mother would have wanted me to. What you've done and discovered will be enough to convince my father. It has to be. You and Lyris risked your lives for my kingdom and have been met with nothing but suspicion. You counted on my mother to be your advocate, to convince my father of the Coven's threat. Now she's gone. I'm no substitute, but I'll speak for you. My father hasn't heard a word I've said since I was old enough to talk. But with Mother gone, someone has to make him see reason. You know, she tried to teach me, but I never listened. I guess maybe I'm more like my father than I care to admit. That makes it even more imperative that he heeds your warning and takes action. All of the holds are in danger. Hoffingar, Hjalmarch, Karthald. My father needs to do something before another storm strikes. Meet me at the Blue Palace, all right? I just need a moment to think about how to approach this. Consider the words to use. My courtly manners are a bit rusty, and I've never been much for diplomacy and fancy speeches. Shore's bones, I could use a drink. I'm not sure of anything. If I don't do this, though, I'll never forgive myself if something terrible befalls the kingdom. Right. Easy as honey-baked pie. It's not like you came here at the behest of his most hated rival or anything. Look, I'll do my best to get him to listen. You have my word on that. It feels like I've been shattered into 1,000 pieces and swept under a rug. But I don't have time to mourn right now, not with the kingdom in danger. Now, let's go talk to my father before I change my mind. I'm not sure of anything. If I don't do this, though, I'll never forgive myself. That's nice of you to say, but I'm not sure I believe that. I hope she's watching all this from Sovngarde. Bet she hates it there. Look, I'll do my best to get my father to listen to you. You have my word on that.
You would have me spread my forces across the realm to search for nightmares you dredged up from a bottle?
It's not!
Or should I say, the whispers of Eastern vipers tickling your ears?
But Mother!
Enough! Then next you come before me to vomit up your counsel. Make sure it doesn't stink of treason.
Damn the man. He wouldn't let me get a word in edgewise. Mother always knew how to talk to him. Me, not so much. Mother had a way with Father, but she could be just as stubborn. If she wanted something done and he wouldn't oblige, she'd do it herself. Time to take her lessons to heart, I guess. If my father won't take a stand, then I suppose it's up to me. Our kingdom consists of 3 holds. Halfingar, Hjalmarch, and Karthald. I need to warn them. The Jarls might listen, even if my father won't. I'm the daughter of the High King, after all. Time to start acting like one. Will you come with me? We should visit Jarl Redharn of Hjalmarch first. If we can convince him of the threat, at least his hold can take steps to protect itself. We'll find him in his hall in Morthal. I'll leave word for Lyris with Mog, so she'll know where to find us. Honestly, I don't know. But Jarl Redharn tempers his warrior nature with a kindness not often seen in people of his stature. Besides, he's always had a soft spot for me ever since his daughter and I played together at moots and other gatherings. I remember a time when we were all happy together. Him and Mother and I. Seems like a long time ago. At some point, he became more and more involved with the trappings of power. He was more interested in being the High King than my father. I tried, but interaction with my father made it difficult. She wanted us to be a family. But the High King wanted a queen and a princess. Eventually, he stopped ordering me to attend royal functions. It was my one victory in our relationship.
It's mine.
Why does the Princess of Solitude grace my humble hall with her royal presence? Are you here on behalf of the High King?
I've come to warn you, Jarl Redharn.
Warn me? I already received orders from your father. What more is there to say?
Orders? Right. But you need to prepare the hold's defenses.
And what must we defend ourselves against this time? More urns and fetishes?
Please, Jarl Redharn, let my friend explain. The threat to our holds is worse than you can imagine.
You're not the subject of this realm, and that woman with you. She's the Giantess of the East. The High King warned us to beware of packed spies. If Princess Svanna trusts you, however, you have my ear. Tell me about this threat. We're not Daedra worshippers. Our blood's hot enough to boil a blizzard. We've got more pressing concerns than some northern squall. We received Svargrim's orders, promptly ignored them, and immediately ran afoul of a gaggle of Reachmen. The High King sent a royal decree, said to leave any strange objects or fetishes we spotted around the hold alone. They were dangerous, he said. Just so happens we found a few. I had my soldiers destroy them. That's when we encountered the Reachmen. The barbarians reacted poorly when we destroyed the strange witch sticks. We beat them back and chased them into the nearby barrow. But that was the last I heard from my soldiers. Since you dealt with this before, would you investigate the barrow? If I were a few years younger and had more soldiers to spare, I'd march east to the Morthal barrow and deal with the sorceress nonsense myself. But I'm not. I don't. And I have other responsibilities. Take this key. It will get you into the barrow. They were tall, ugly things, covered in strange runes, fetishes, and a poultice that smelled like rotting fungus. They had been set up around the town. My soldiers assumed they'd find one at the barrow, but instead they sent word of the Reachmen. Really? Last I heard, the princess was more interested in... No, I won't indulge in idle gossip. Svanna carries herself well. Not with the grace of her mother, but she has the swagger of a warrior. I wish I could say the same about my daughter. She was taken from us 5 years ago. If I had pushed her harder, she might have had the strength to survive. Daughters are a father's greatest weakness. Enough troubles of the past. We have the present to concern ourselves with.
Let's talk if you want details. You, sir, the barrow is off limits. We are here to make sure nothing gets in or out, and will do so by any means necessary. I did not want to spare the soldiers I had left to send a message. We destroyed a number of strange sticks set up on the outskirts of town. Then we reached the barrow. We spotted a few Reach barbarians. I sent word and we charged after them. A storm appeared in the barrow, if you can believe such a thing. It was foul magic, almost certainly. Soldiers began changing around me, dying or falling into a stupor. Some turned into monsters, and then the Draugr clawed out of their graves. We never made it that far inside. And when the storm hit, it was all I could do to get out and seal the door behind us. If the Jarl sent you, and you're intent on entering the barrow, I won't stop you.
That's done. Let's tell the Jarl what happened here. No sign of that witch or the reliquary she ran off with. We should get back to the Jarl's Hall. We saw the last stand of what could have been a much larger attack on Morthal. The witch pike in the barrow was the only one that wasn't destroyed before they performed the ritual. Soldiers were caught in the Harrowstorm, but the town was spared. That's what happened in Kilcreath after the storm hit. I'm more curious about the witch, though. Why was that Grey reliquary important enough for her to grab it and run off as soon as she spotted us? Come on, let's go talk to Jarl Redharn.
Over the Sword Thane's boots.
Ha! This orc friend of yours sounds... Ah, your companion's return. Well, friend of Svanna, are you as good as your word? Tell me what you discovered at the Morthal Barrow. A Harrowstorm, like the thing the princess was telling me about? The thing that destroyed Kilcreath? Gods! A pox on the Reach and its barbarian horde! What else? What about the Reachmen in the barrow? Disappointing, but not unexpected. Reach witches are a tricky lot. Still, you have my thanks. In the meantime, Hjalmar shall prepare for war. We may not have a defense against the Harrowstorms, but we can be ready to attack once we have a target.
With you and Lyris's help, we've gained the trust of Jarl Redharn. My father respects the Jarl. That will go a long way in convincing the High King to take the Coven's threat seriously. Now we need to do the same thing at Carthald. Jarl Ulfwen rules the Hold, which was established to provide a defensible border against the Reach. If any of the Western Holds can deal with this threat, it's Carthald. But first, I have one more thing to discuss with Jarl Redharn. Jarl Redharn, prepare your forces as you say, but we need you in Solitude.
Solitude? I have troubles here in Hjalmarch. Why should I leave when my hold needs me?
High King Svargrim won't listen to us, but he might listen to you.
Get up, princess. If you think it will help, I'll talk to your father.
Lyris, please escort the Jarl to Solitude.
Of course. What about you?
We need to warn Jarl Ulfwen, so we're going to Carthald.
They tore each other apart, right in front of me.
Stay inside. Stick together. We'll take care of this. These people, they're from Carthwatch. They might be all that's left of the town. They say it was a storm. Powerful. Devastating. It engulfed the entire town. It had to be a Harrowstorm. That's the only explanation. There could be other survivors. Maybe even Jarl Ulfwen. We need to make a search. Let's hurry. Every second we waste could be the difference between life or death. Porpoise! Sorry. Guess I'm not completely used to the fighting and all. That urn, though. The Grey reliquary. The witch was adamant about protecting it, gathering it up. She said something about our life energy. Oh, gods, I think I know what they're doing. Remember what the witch said as we approached the town. This time we'll harvest all the Grey reliquaries, she said. That our life energy would have fit perfectly in the urns. I think the Harrowstorm steals life energy and puts it in the reliquaries. If the Jarl is still alive, she can take care of herself for a while longer. The witch hasn't gathered all the reliquaries yet. I say we get to them first and destroy them. I won't let these bastards profit off the destruction of Carthwatch.
Stay back! Don't make me... Oh, you're not one of the witches or their monsters. I thought this was the end for me. I barely have the strength left to conjure a light breeze. Wait a moment. Is that Princess Svanna? I'm Magister Fridelia. I serve Jarl Ulfwen as her court mage. I've been fending off witches, vampires, and these crazed villagers since the chaos started. There was a storm, definitely magical in nature. It turned our own people against us. I'm not sure. I sent the Jarl into the cellar when the storm began, when I still thought it was just a bad storm. Please, go downstairs. Make sure the Jarl is safe. Kartold will be lost without her. The cellar. Jarl Orfwen is in the cellar. Make sure that she's all right.
Jarl Orfwen! No! I need to get some air. Please, recover the crown of Karthold. We can't leave it down here. I'm sorry, Fidelia. Jarl Orfwen, she's...
That's the Karthold crown. Jarl Orfwen's gone, then? I failed her. Harrowstorm? Is that what you call what happened here? Why I didn't turn into a monster is a mystery. Wait. The Hold soldiers clashed with Reachman scouts a few days ago. They brought back these medallions the scouts were wearing. Yes. I was preparing to study the enchantments I detected upon it when the Harrowstorm struck. I guess I slipped it into my pocket without really thinking about it. Could this be some sort of protection against the storm?
Karthwatch is gone. No people, no Jarl. The seat of the entire hold. Wiped out. Just like that. I have to get my father to take action! I need to get back to the Eversnow and gather the survivors. Take them to Solitude, where they'll be safe. At least as safe as we can make them. Then I have to have a serious talk with my father. I'll make him listen to me, damn it, no matter what! Return to Solitude. Find Lyris and meet me in the Blue Palace. I have a room upstairs that we can use. We need to come up with a plan. Something that will help me convince my father to act.
Mock the cursed! You'll call a hex down upon us!
Glad to see you're alive and well. I was getting worried with all the Herod they've been bringing into the city. They've been taking them to the Temple of the Divines in Castle Dower. I suppose it's really the only place to care for them in their condition. Jarl Redharn gave him an earful the moment we entered the Blue Palace. Nord politics. It's a wonder to behold. One step removed from a barroom brawl. I'm disappointed they didn't start slugging each other, but it worked out in the end. Damn it. I was afraid of that. We're running out of time and we still don't fully understand what we're facing out there. Hey, where's the princess? Tell me you didn't lose Svanna in Karthwatch.
Svanna, I know, would leave all this bother behind. Come back to the troll and let the royalty deal with this.
I am the royalty, Mog. It's time I started acting like it. Welcome to the princess's chamber, my friend. I don't remember the last time I spent more than a few moments in here. Anyway, Jarl Redharn and Magister Fidelia are here, giving my father an earful. Thanks for helping me at the holds. No, but we saved Morthal, and stopped the Coven from getting the Grey Reliquaries at Karthwatch. And we brought the hold leaders here. All of that matters. Take this, my royal allowance. I was going to buy wine, but you can make better use of it. We return to find my father is finally doing something about the Coven threat. But it's not enough. Extra patrols and rounding up the Herald is all well and good. But what we really need is a defense against the Harrowstorms. Unfortunately, we've only recovered a few of the medallions. And Magister Fidelia hasn't determined what enchantment the medallions use to provide their protection. We need another solution. Right, Lyris mentioned that. Coincidentally, a courier delivered a message for you from Dusktown. I never heard of the place, but she said it was sent by someone named Fenorian. Is that your scholar? Read the message and let's see if he'll help us. Take the message from the table, then see if you can convince Fenorian to join us. Maybe with his help we can devise a defense against the storms. I'll stay here and continue to annoy my father until he gives this threat the attention it deserves. You forget that I have help now. My father might be able to ignore me, but he'll have a harder time dismissing a Jarl and the court mage. It's funny. I would have thought he'd be happy to see me finally take an interest in politics. I don't care about his approval, but I'd like to earn his respect. With Mother gone, we're both going to have to work harder to keep our kingdom running. It will be easier if we find a way to get along.
Dusktown. I wonder what Fenn's found that led him back down there. Does his message give any indication of where we can find him? The settlement isn't big, but it's not exactly small either. Well, that's a start. You know, I never imagined I'd be working side by side with vampires, let alone ones I respect. With all the leeches we've already had to kill, it's nice to see another side. Fenn's different. And so are you. I need to get my axe sharpened before we go back down into Blackreach. Don't wait for me. I'll catch up with you in Dusktown. Fen, you in here? Let's look around. Fen never struck me as a messy person. Could there have been a struggle here? Burnt papers. Someone was trying to hide something. Burnt journal pages, Fenn's flask, and a strange old key. All found among clear signs of a struggle. But other than what's in the flask, we didn't see any blood. That means Fen was probably taken alive. The key looks dwarven to me, and the notes mention a dwarven tower. They could be connected. The notes also indicate that Fen was going to meet with someone named Edyar east of the Dusktown Bridge. You start there and I'll check with the locals. We have no idea who Edyar is, or who took Fen for that matter. It could be this Ashen Lord we heard mentioned, or maybe the Icereach Coven. The question is, why take Fen at all? Why not just kill him? Does he have information they need? More than likely. If they want to get information out of him, death might be preferable to whatever tortures they have planned. Let's get to it. You find this Edyar, and I'll see if the locals saw what happened here.
You don't listen too well, do you? All right. Talk fast and tell me why I shouldn't rip out your throat. The silk shirt kept notes? Of course he did. And where is Fenorian? He's late, and he still hasn't compensated me for the information I gave him. I need that key! Missing? Probably taken by the same bastard that has my packmates, Exart Singalis. Fenorian said he could provide a key to unlock their chains, if I told him about the experiments performed on us. If you can get that key, I'll tell you more. Hircine's fetid breath, that's it! Look, I managed to escape from Singalis' tower, but my packmates are still chained up in the Lightless Hollow. Use that key to set them free. Then, I'll tell you how to find Fenorian. The Lightless Hollow lies to the east, and Hircine's claws. Who is that tall woman?
Stand down. I'm a friend.
My packmates are in a work camp on the Lightless Hollow's west side. That's the big cavern to the east. You need that key to unlock the special chains that bind them. I'll meet you south of the work camp after you set them free. What else would you call them? My family? We're bound by a curse that makes us closer than any blood relatives. You find the pack and you stick together, or you die. Simple as that. I'm not leaving them in the hands of that insane Exarch. We're werewolves, all right? Do I have to spell it out for you? Look, Singalis captured us. Keeps us prisoner with chains of dwarven design. Only that key can set my pack free. I was lucky, but that kind of luck doesn't happen a second time. Singalis' helper made a mistake. Forgot to lock the chains when I was brought back after one of my treatments. I can still feel the fire from when the needle pierced my skin. My blood flowing into his vials and beakers. It wasn't pleasant. Exarch Singalis. He's a vampire, part of a group called the Grey Host. They're military, but he's some sort of insane genius. An alchemist, a scholar, and he tinkers with machines.
My pack wouldn't fight for them, so they found other uses for us. Digging, tunneling, actually, up toward the surface. Then, every so often, Singalis would send for one of us. The mad vampire likes needles. He would either take our blood, or inject something into us. Never said why, but he enjoyed his work. Fenorian really wanted to figure out what Singalis was doing to my pack. He studied my wounds, took some fluids, and went back to get that key. He never told me where he found it. Just that he'd set my pack free if I told him everything I know. He's probably in Singalis' experimentation chamber. I clawed my way out of there. It nearly killed me. I can tell you how to get inside, but you have to free my packmates first. Do that for me, and I'll help you find Fenorian.
None of the locals really wanted to talk. One or two admitted to seeing Fen, but no one witnessed any kind of disturbance at his lodgings. At least, no one saw anything they were willing to tell me about. Is this Edyar? Does he know anything? Why is everything so complicated in this part of Skyrim? Alright, so tell me, what did Fen agree to do for our half-naked friend over there? Packmates? Edyar is a werewolf? Pfft, this just keeps getting better and better. So I take it you know how you want to deal with this particular situation?
That scent. Why do you smell like Edyar? Edyar sent you. Then he made it. He's alive. That's wonderful news. Exarch Singalis experimented on me. I blacked out, but they thought I was dead. They tossed me out of the tower. Barely managed to crawl to this spot. Still at the camp, to the north. Hamild, Myrtilda, and Thevin. Save them before Singalis finishes them off. Just come back, all right? I don't think I can make it on my own.
Finally. Thank you, stranger.
Hircine's claws. I thought I'd be digging forever. Thanks.
You set me free? I owe you one.
You actually did it. You freed my pack. Now it's my turn. If Exarch Singalis took Fenorian, and I'm pretty sure he did, you'll find them both in the ruined Dwarven Tower. It's difficult to get inside if you're not a vampire, but I know a way. Like I said, Singalis' helper made a mistake. Forgot to fasten my chains after one of my tortures. I slipped away, crawled along some pipes, and fell into a chamber with one of those dwarven lifts. There was also a door, the one behind me. It'll get you close. There's a big door that leads into Singalis' lair, but it's sealed. You need to figure out the dwarven mechanism to open it. Then make your way to the experimentation chamber. That's probably where he's keeping Fenorian. The door's over here. Hurry, before they spot us.
This chamber's been used recently. Let's look around.
Smell! It's overpowering! We need to shut down those machines! Poison! Why are they spraying it on those plants? More of that nether root. Turn off those sprayers or we'll never get across.
The machine will finish you momentarily.
Finish your work, Singalis. Enjoy me the key. You must bear witness with the
Of course, new test subjects. Just in time. This one is about spent. You cannot stop the Grey Host. You will do well in the machine. There's an art in classifying uncooperative specimens.
It's too late. For me.
finds Delirious. See if you can free him.
Go. Warn Solitude. You should have left me. Go warn Solitude. Exarch Singalis and Rada al-Saran talked freely while they tortured me. They're planning some sort of assault on Solitude. A massive hero storm. I need blood. But I won't drink from an unwilling person. In this state, even with a willing participant, I don't trust my restraint. If I only had my flask. My flask. Thank you, my friend. Rada al-Saran is the one they call the Ashen Lord, leader of the Grey Host. He and Singalis often went into the nearby sanctum to talk. I heard a few words. Map. Plan. But I couldn't make out the rest. Yes. Yes. Once I take a long drink from my flask, I'll join you.
We set out to find Fen and bring him back to Solitude. Along the way, we learned more about our true enemy, killed one of their leaders, and acquired some valuable intelligence. That's a victory in my book. Not that I can think of. I'll make sure that Fen makes it to the Blue Palace. We'll meet you there. And don't forget that map and communique. Come on, Fen. Princess Svana herself requested your presence at the Blue Palace.
I don't believe I'm very good company right now.
Come on, Fen. We'll help you through this.
You are welcome here, Fenorian of House Ravenwatch.
I don't know what to say.
You're back. Lyris was just making introductions and was about to give her report. Why don't you tell me what happened? By all the Mead and Sovngarde, it's good to see you and the others. Your vampire scholar seems out of sorts, but I'm glad to make his acquaintance. Lyris tells me you ran into a bit of trouble. Care to explain? And I can't wait to hear all the details. In the meantime, let's take a look at what you found and try to devise a plan. Lyris didn't say much, but she indicated that time is short. Here, take this. You deserve a lot more, but it's all I can spare. The information you brought back from Blackreach might give us a fighting chance. Let's put our heads together and figure out how to use what we want. My father be damned. The Grey Host? Where have I heard that name? Meanwhile, my father rounded up the Herald and moved his soldiers to the outer walls. Then he ordered the quartermaster to stockpile Castle Dower. He's preparing Solitude to withstand a long siege. That might work against a mob of Reachmen, but thick walls can't stop a Hero Storm. Any war we try to wage will be over before it starts if we don't find a way to stop them. Fen knows more about the storms than anyone. See what he suggests. Talk to Fen. If he has any bright ideas, I'd love to hear them. Magister Fidelia has been studying the Icereach Coven medallion, but she hasn't had a lot of success. She seems even less confident about reproducing their protective enchantment now. She identified necromantic components as part of the enchantment, as well as reach rituals. But she isn't an expert on either type of magic. Frankly, I think she's exhausted the scope of her knowledge. You mean other than hounding my father and serving as go-between for the Jarl of Morthal and the Magister of Carthold? I wrangled promises out of my father and showed our allies that someone in Solitude still cares. I got High King Svargrim to promise to dispatch soldiers to reinforce Morthal's defenses and send aid to Carthwatch. It's a start, but he hasn't actually issued the orders yet. I need to follow up with him after we're finished. Sort of. He admits he might have been wrong about the Icereach Coven, as far as that goes. But he still glares daggers whenever anyone mentions you or Lyris. So let's not bring up Fen, alright?
It's all right. I'm ready to help. I know what you need me to do. Put my experience behind me. Focus on the mission, just like Verandis taught me. Could you show me the research you recovered from Exarch Singalis' laboratory? These notes prove my theory. Netherroot is the key component of the Harrowstorm ritual. It's like a poison for the soul. Weakens the bonds to the body so it can be pulled free. They're harvesting life energy from anyone caught in the storms. I'm guessing, but it may have something to do with those stone husks we saw. Remember how the werewolf emerged from one? And look at the mixture you retrieved. It isn't like the residue we recovered from the witch pike. It's more concentrated. That's certainly what Singolus's notes imply. Despite how it looks, a plan is formulating in my mind. I think I can create an elixir, but I'll need more of this refined netherroot brew. And we need to solve the mystery of the Coven medallions.
See those marks? Grey host sites that correspond to the communique we found. I know a commander's map when I see one. Each of those marks matches a location mentioned in the communique from Rada al-Saran, the leader of the Grey Host. I can already see where we need to go. That mark on the northwest coast, that's an Icereach Coven camp. The communique mentioned needing more medallions. Odds are, they come from there. And here, a Midland camp between Dragonbridge and Morthal. It's a staging ground for the Harrowstorms. More than likely. Those two locations should provide what Fen needs to finish his elixir. We can't bet everything on that, though. The communique mentions a warlord's camp in Blackreach. Maybe we can learn more about their ultimate plan there. Svanna, Fen, and I will divvy up the camps and scout ahead. Fen should investigate the coastal camp. I'll take the Midlands camp. That leaves Svanna with Blackreach. Meet up with each of us when you're ready. Then we'll hit each camp in turn. We don't have a lot of solid details, just what we've pieced together from the Grey Host's notes and communique. But I'll answer your questions the best I can. Which camp did you want to ask about? The Grey Host isn't just hiding in Blackreach now. They're mounting an invasion, and this appears to be their primary staging ground. I expect they're stockpiling witch pikes, grey reliquaries, and other supplies here, including the refined brew. From what I can tell, the camp on the northwest coast is where the Coven first made landfall from Icereach. It's as close to a home base as they've got. They've established themselves there, so I'd expect it to be well defended, if not fortified. The communique mentioned orders to produce more of those medallions, probably to keep pace with the increase in Harrowstorms. I can't guarantee this is the coastal camp where the orders were sent, but it's the only one on the map. That's the one we know the least about. But it's where a lot of the Grey Host's warlords are gathering, at least according to the communique. It's the best place I can think of where we can get a look at those orders the Ashen Lord mentioned. A bold move setting up camp in the midst of the Western Holds. I'll say this for the Grey Host. They aren't afraid to draw attention to themselves. I learned a few things while I was waiting for you to show up. It's just as we thought. The Grey Host is using this camp as a supply depot for their raids across the countryside. I saw stacks of witch pikes, rows of reliquaries, and jars of what I assume is the refined netherroot brew. Right. And I heard the camp leader, a nasty creature named Sableye, tell his troops to make sure to use the new supply that just arrived from Blackreach. Let's go grab a jar or two. Luck was with us. If we had reached this camp even a few moments later, Sableye would have gotten away with the netherroot brew. After all this trouble, Fen better be able to use it to make his elixir. I'll take the jar of refined netherroot brew to Solitude. We'll meet up in Svanna's chambers when everyone gets back from their missions. I hope they're all right. Fen has proven himself, especially after what happened in Blackreach. House Ravenwatch, they're unusual as far as bloodsuckers go. As for Svanna, she's braver than I originally thought. Anyway, meet me in Solitude after you finish up. In addition to the refined netherroot brew, Fen needs information on the Icereach Coven medallions. Plus, we're hoping to learn more about the big storm the Grey Host has planned. Help Fen and Svanna at the other camps, then meet me in Solitude.
Lyris was right. This camp is crawling with the Icereach Coven. And they're definitely producing the medallions here. I was even able to slip away with one. We need to get closer, though. There's more to figuring out this magic than just watching from afar. I need to know exactly how they go about creating them. With your help, we can learn everything about that here in this camp. It's a landing site for the boats coming from the island of Icereach. Plus, they're collecting something here that goes into the process of creating the medallions. If you can get me to the center of the camp, I can learn what that is. Determining how they create these medallions will be an enormous help. The Grey Host has accelerated their plans. They need more medallions for a reason. A big harrow storm is coming. We need to be ready. Because the Grey Host is guarding something down there. I couldn't get close, but it appeared that they built the camp to surround something. Plus, I heard a few of the witches talking. Complaining, really, about needing to prepare more medallions. In the First Era, an army of vampires and werewolves tried to conquer the land before they were stopped in Bankurai. They called themselves the Grey Host. It seems this Rada al-Saran has resurrected the army, both figuratively and literally. Well, we've both been over the headstones with a fine-toothed comb. If we can determine why the Coven dug up these particular bodies, it will tell us something about how the medallions were enchanted. Of course, compare notes and look for commonalities. You have the makings of a fine scholar, my friend. Now, let's see. I noticed there were a mix of different races buried here. They weren't all Nords. Anything strike you about the departed? A fine scholar. They did. Tell me more. Of course. Why didn't I see that? The headstones on the exhumed graves all mentioned that the person was old when they died. Let me think. Some necrotic spells require the remains of the elderly. Something to do with the natural decay of life. According to one necromantic theory, the older a living thing becomes, the more necrotic energy it naturally acquires. As a body grows old and withers, the life inside it decays. Necrotic energy is the byproduct of this deterioration. I now know enough about how they create the medallions to move my research along. I'll return to the Blue Palace and start putting an elixir together. To fully craft an elixir to defend against the harrow storms, I still require a sample of refined netherroot brew. Plus, we need to determine what the Grey Host has planned. Help Lyris and Savannah at the other camps. Then meet me at the Blue Palace. I'm glad to hear it. That just leaves finding out what the Grey Host has planned. Go meet Savannah at the camp in Blackreach. I can't say I envy you. While Blackreach provides some fascinating points of study, the dangers appear overwhelming.
I came here to learn what the Grey Host has planned, and what did I find? Good citizens of the Holds, afflicted by the Harrow storms and kept prisoner for some ungodly purpose. No matter how many I set free, the Herald will not leave this place. That's all I've been doing, and trying to get these afflicted people to leave this place. The Herald, the storm robs them of their will, their minds. I wasn't able to slip deeper into the camp, though. Agreed. There appear to be a number of Grey Host warlords in the camp, so discovering their plans should be possible. We need to be careful, though. I don't want us to wind up like the Herald, serving as food for these bastards. Messages have been coming and going since I arrived. I've heard the name Rada al-Saran, the Ashen Lord, spoken in hushed and revered tones. His name was on the communique you found, remember? We need to get down there and see what else we can learn. Hiding, building their forces, digging, undermining. That's the correct term, I think. Plus, they're collecting the Herald, herding them like cattle. It's monstrous what they're doing to these poor people. The only thing I'm sure of is I have to try. If my father won't act, then it falls on me to get things done. It's what my mother would want me to do. Orders from Rada al-Saran. His words send a chill down my spine. Their plan for Solitude? It might even be more dreadful than an all-out attack. We need to get back and determine the exact location of this Undergrove place. You saw what happened at Kilcreath and Carthwatch. Whatever they have planned for Solitude, it sounds a whole lot worse. I wish we knew more about this Rada al-Saran and what drives him. A family of monsters? Who could imagine vampires and werewolves working together? Let alone talking about one another like brothers and sisters. It's not natural. I'm glad I got to look around Blackreach, but I can't wait to see the sun and sky again. No matter how big these caverns are, it still feels like we're buried alive down here. We came down here to find out what the Grey Host has planned. But Fen still needs information about how the medallions are created, and a sample of the refined netherroot brew. Help Fen and Lyris at the other camps. Then meet me in Solitude. Then we're done here. I hope we found enough to end the threat of the Grey Host. I'll meet you back at the Blue Palace. Good luck, my friend.
Do we have a way to defend against the Harrow Storms, or what?
The elixir should do what we need, provided neither Fen nor I made any miscalculations.
Yolen, don't be so negative. The elixir will work. You'll see. Oh, good. You're back. Mjolnir and I have been discussing the various ways to turn what we've got into a protective elixir. I'm hesitant to get too excited, but I think we've figured out how to defend against the Harrow Storms. The Grey Host uses an unstable mix of alchemy and sorcery to create the Harrow Storms. An arcane ritual and the Netherroot brew focus the power of each Harrow Storm through the prepared witch pikes. Ingenious, but fully exploitable. We can use the refined brew as the basis of our elixir. Now that we understand how the Harrow Storms are created, we can use those same components to replicate the medallion's protective properties. We just need to gather the necessary components. Svana's associate, Mog, will procure most of the supplies I need, but there's one final ingredient required. For various reasons, I can't simply walk into the Hall of the Dead and claim it myself. I need you to acquire Arkay's sacred oil. A holy ointment associated with a god that became popular due to imperial influence. It's used by the priests in the Hall of the Dead to provide protection against necromancy and the undead. We need that oil to create our elixir.
You'll need my help. I'll meet you at the Hall of the Dead. Mog, put away the tankard and get the supplies Fen requires.
Yes, your royal ladiness. But I'm keeping the tankard.
I'm surprised to see the princess here. As you can see, the influx of refugees has made this place much more hectic than usual. Is there something I can do for Princess Svana? Sacred oil? Strange. That's the second time today someone has come seeking Arkay's anointing balm. Sword Thane Athlet arrived with an edict from the king. Demanded our entire supply. How we're to consecrate the dead without it, I have no idea. The Sword Thane wouldn't say. He just mentioned that the High King needed it to defend Solitude. I'm sorry I can't comply with the princess's request. Things are hard enough that these refugees must take shelter here among the dead. The Sword Thane took the oil to Castle Dower. That's where all the supplies for a siege are gathered during periods of strife. I pray that High King Svargrim receives the patience and wisdom required to see us through this crisis. Solitude's foundation began with the construction of Castle Dower. It's the oldest structure in the city, and the most defensible. I tried to move the refugees there for safekeeping, but my request was denied. The High King has other plans, I suppose.
I don't have time for the princess's proclivities right now. The High King will barely keep up with the multitude of tasks, so speak quickly and let me get back to it. My orders from the High King were clear. Stockpile the entire supply of sacred oil in the Temple of the Divines here within the confines of Castle Dower. What in Shore's name does the princess need with holy oil anyway? Protection? Truly? The Herald already outnumber my soldiers, and more arrive every day. Still, giving you the oil would violate the High King's edict. I suppose if I happened to look the other way for a moment, I wouldn't notice if a flask disappeared.
A single flask? Fen will have to make do. Let's get it back to...
Sword Thane, why his work? I gave strict orders, yet my daughter freely enters the castle grounds. What do they want, Sword Thane?
We came to offer our assistance, Father. Sword Thane, how can we help?
Athlet has everything well in hand, child. Despite your intentions, you would only hinder our efforts. Go! The sword thing doesn't need my daughter or her wastrel underfoot. Away with you! We're much too busy for...
My father's never been what I'd call a warm and caring parent. But this crisis has made him even more distant. Let's get the sacred oil to Fen. My father will certainly change his attitude once we present the protective elixir to him. He's trying to protect me. It's what he does. And leave me out. Though I suppose that's mostly my own fault. I know Mother's death weighs on him, as does this entire crisis. That's why we have to help. This elixir is going to work. It has to. It's not that unusual. Castle Dower is the most defensible part of the city. In the past, we'd gather the people inside the walls. Now my father is using the fortress to house the Herald. They need to go somewhere, right? Come on, let's go.
It's time I'm in the field. I think I'll bring a great warhammer.
Once it's ready, I'll test the elixir.
As you say, Lyris. Ah, here they come now. You have the sacred oil? Add it to the cauldron. Yes, a perfect fusion. It's ready to be tested. Come, let's talk. With the addition of the sacred oil, the elixir is complete. Before we produce enough to distribute to the people of Western Skyrim, we need to test it. I'm confident of my work, but we're dealing with powerful forces here. We can't wait for the next Hera storm to strike, but what you and Svanna learned in Blackreach might help. You heard that Exarch Ulfra was testing Hera storm rituals in a place called the Undergrove. We'll go there and let Lyris drink the elixir. During my explorations of Blackreach, I came across an ancient burial site, a place called the Midnight Barrow. This Undergrove must be inside those ruins. Once there, you and Svanna keep watch from a safe distance, while Lyris steps into the storm. From what I could tell, the Midnight Barrow sank into Blackreach in the distant past. Somewhere in its chambers, we'll find the Undergrove. The ruined barrow is in the Lightless Hollow, in the northwest portion of the cavern. We'll meet you there. We're going to find an active Hera storm in the Undergrove, or I'm going to attempt to replicate one in there. Then Lyris drinks the elixir, exposes herself to the dark magic, and we wait to see what happens. Very risky, but it's also our best chance to counter the Hera storms and fight back.
You and Fen stay put until we clear a path to the Undergrove.
Fine. Just don't take all day.
This is it. Look lively and let's get on with it.
We need to find where they're experimenting with the Hera storms.
You honor me with your presence, my king.
Grey Host, stay quiet and listen.
This Hera storm must be the biggest we have ever wrought, my sister-in-arms.
That's the leader of the Grey Host.
Have we heard from Solitude? Is everything in place?
I have been assured the city is ripe for harvest.
Rada al-Saran and Exarch Ulfra. Should we postpone the test?
Certainly not. The holds are counting on us. Besides, we might be able to end this threat right here and now.
Who dares intrude? You. The murderers who killed our beloved Singalis.
And you're about to join him.
Impudent mortal! You will pay for your crime. Now for the rest of these curs.
My king, allow me the honor of spilling their blood.
Very well, sweet sister. Join me in Greymoor Keep when the task is done.
Let this Hera storm flay the flesh from your bones.
We need to leave. Svanna, no!
See to live. Pray your elixir works.
She needs time for the elixir to do its job.
think it worked. I stood in a hero storm and nothing happened. Fenn's elixir is a success. And we took out another one of the Grey Host leaders. We've done good, my friend. Never better. We need to create as much of the elixir as possible and distribute it throughout Solitude before Rada al-Saran's massive hero storm hits. I also want to find out who in the city is helping him. Let's meet back at the Blue Palace. Once my father understands that we have a way to protect against the hero storms, he'll have to take us seriously. Let's get back to the city as fast as we can. I know, right? It happened so quickly. When we confronted Rada al-Saran and Exarch Ulfra, the Vampire Lord blasted Lyris with his magic. When I saw her fall, I knew I had to act. It certainly gave us a fighting chance. When she called forth the hero storm, I grabbed the elixir from Lyris and barely thought about what I was doing. I just drank it down and walked into the storm. I don't disagree, but somebody had to do it. There wasn't any other option. And I'd do it again. My people are counting on...
To your daughter's father. We need to do something.
Don't test me, Redharn. I know exactly what I need to do. Our enemies circle ever closer, and now even my daughter turns against me. What's next? Will my beloved wife return to accuse me of some heinous crime? Well, get to it. Tell me about Svana's miraculous elixir before I have the lot of you tossed out. You represent my most hated enemy and expect me to believe a word you say? Even if you speak true, worms have found purchase in the wood and seek to rot my kingdom from within. I will not let Solitude and the Western Holds fall. Trust Svana. Perhaps. No! Your honeyed words are but echoes of my most obstinate foes. You offer a miracle with one hand, while holding a poison dagger in the other. Hell, I need no help from the likes of you.
Don't be a fool, father. This elixir will save our people.
I didn't think you had it in you, daughter. You have actually surpassed my expectations, more's the pity. And I'll hear no more talk of this miracle elixir. The Grey Host is my true ally. Once the Harrow Storm engulfs Solitude, my kingdom will endure for all eternity.
I should have sensed it. Svargrim's a vampire.
Svana.
Not now, Lyris. I need to think about this.
Svargrim's a bastard, but King Yoren believed he had the best interest of his people at heart. Obviously, something changed. And with Solitude targeted for a massive hero storm, things have gotten more complicated. Not everything is as grim as it appears. We did create an elixir. That's our best chance of protecting the people from the hero storm. We just need to distribute it. In the meantime, take this. It may not seem like much, but you earned it.
How could you? My father, working with the Grey Host. How long has he been a part of this? Did he have a hand in Mother's death? And what has he told them? It's almost too much to bear. And then there's the hero storm. My friend, I don't know what to do. You're right. I know you're right. It's just... he's my father. No, I have to focus. There's a hero storm coming. We have to save the city. That's what's important right now. I'm not sure we can. But we can make more of Fenn's elixir. Get it into the hands of the people. We need more of Arkay's sacred oil, though. We'll have to take it from the supplies stockpiled at the Temple of the Divines.
They've taken it! By the gods, it's fallen!
Fallen? What are you talking about?
The Grey Host. They came out of nowhere, captured the temple and the Tower of the Wolf. We're locked out!
Then the sacred oil.
Damn it all! I need to get down there!
Follow him! Now, soldier, tell me exactly what happened.
rather have the friendships.
They're funny.
He sat on his throne, pretended to mourn for my mother, and said he had a plan.
But the only way to earn the one currency, which is parts, is to do brutalities and fatalities.
He's a traitor and a liar. I know. It's just.
And I need like 250 or more per
He's my father.
special treasure chest that I find in the crypt.
Could you do it? Could you confront and maybe even kill one of your parents?
And not gonna lie, sometimes
Such
going to the
confidence.
crypt can be
As
creepy.
sharp and as cold as my dagger's blade.
Because there's a blindfold that lets you see in
Lives
like
hang
a
in the
spirit
balance.
type mode.
But I'm conflicted about committing.
And
You decide.
one time I decided, oh, I'm not
whatever I
saying
can to stop the
anything to like.
People.
I had hoped to secure the sacred oil and make enough elixir to distribute throughout.
Enough talk. Let's enter Blackreach and find the ritual site. I won't let my father and the Grey Host destroy Solitude. I simply won't.
Yorin sent me with a warning for Solitude. Now I'm about to march into the starless depths of Blackreach to try to avert a massacre. How do I keep getting myself into these kinds of situations? I thought you knew me better than that. Taking on the impossible challenge, beating the unbeatable foe. This is what I'm good at. So yes, I do have to do this. And we're going to win. We have to. Svargrim. To cast his lot with the Grey Host, become a vampire, threaten his own people with the Harrow Storm. It's madness. One thing's for certain. We have to stop him. One step at a time. First, we make our way down into Blackreach. Then we find the ritual site. It must be right beneath the city. We smash witch pikes and kill as many Grey Host bastards as possible. After that, we pray to Kine and hope for this. It's directly under Solitude. That's our target. The ritual site must be somewhere inside that horrid structure. I scouted the area before you arrived. It's full of Grey Host forces. And from what I could tell, Svargrim and Rada al-Saran are both inside. Not so fast. If we rush down as a group, they'll be on us like a snow bear on a horker. You go ahead. Try to cross the bridge to the main entrance. It's well guarded, but you're more than capable. Or you could try the alternative. There's a sluice gate in the outer courtyard, tucked away against the keep's eastern wall. The few patrols in that area can be avoided if you're stealthy. Opening the gate requires a key, but that should be simple enough to find. You know your strengths and weaknesses better than I do. Play to those. But whichever path you decide, move quickly. We need to find the ritual site and deal with the witch pikes before they unleash the Harrow Storm on the city. Cross the bridge, or use the sluice gate to get into the inner courtyard. Then find the keep's side entrance, east of the main stairs. I'll stay with Svanna and Finn. Make sure they don't get themselves killed. We'll meet you inside as soon as we can. That's a good question. I didn't see anything when I scouted the exterior, so the witch pikes must be somewhere inside the keep. I expect that once we find Svargrim and Rada al-Saran, we'll also find the ritual site. Split up and find the ritual site. We need to disrupt it.
Split up? I suppose that makes sense. I'll go with our friend here. Hello. This looks important. This book? I recognize the handwriting. It's Singalas's. It's more of his research. Harrow Storms, witch pikes, netherroot brew. How it all worked together for the benefit of the Grey Host. This might be something. I just need to skim through these assumptions and incantations. What's this? Instructions on the placement of runes throughout Greymoor. All the way to... My gods! This entire tower! It's a witch pike! The magic I sensed earlier. It was familiar because it's the same magic used in the Harrowstorm rituals. Don't you see? This entire keep is the ritual site. They turned the tower into a witch pike. But at the scale, it's inconceivable. I'm not sure we can destroy this tower. We need to keep going. Find a way to disrupt the ritual. But I think I understand what they're doing. Zingalis found a way to release the Grey Host from Cold Harbor by using the Harrowstorms. The Harrowstorms steal life energy and use it to pull the souls of the Grey Host out of Cold Harbor and into the Grey Reliquaries. It's quite ingenious. How they reincorporate, though. It has something to do with those stone husks, I think. Oh, most certainly. Perhaps even a way to reverse the effects of the Harrowstorms and restore the Harrowed. If the notes are complete, it would just require study, experimentation, and time. Unfortunately, we lack all three of those at the moment. Lyris, Svanna, I think this entire tower functions as a witch pike.
What? Fen, how is that even possible?
That's my father! This way!
Pain is part of the process, Svargrim.
It's exquisite! My master.
Once you are attuned to Greymoor, the storm will be yours to command. Rise, Svargrim, and unleash my storm upon Solitude. Then the last of the Grey Host shall be reborn.
Ashen Lord. He turned Svargrim into the heart of his Harrowstorm.
They're moving higher up the tower. We need to follow them.
You and Fen take these stairs. Svanna and I will go this way.
Look, a Grey Reliquary. It's massive. Just like the storm they plan to unleash on the city.
And so the thorns arrive once more to prick my thumbs.
A barrier.
And Rada al-Saran?
Your persistence begins to annoy me, mortal. You killed my beloved brother and sister, Singalis and Ulfra. I freed them, and you sent them back. Back to the hated Moloch Ball. I will see you suffer for the transgression. As much as it would please me to flay the flesh from your bones, I have more pressing matters to attend to. But know this. As I felt each death, you shall feel it when the Harrowstorm takes every life in Solitude. You shall feel it when you fail. Bold words, but futile. Svargrim rises, and the Harrowstorm with him. Once the attunement is finished, they will be unstoppable.
What happened? What did that damn vampire do?
He's merging the power flowing through the keep with Svargrim, giving him control of the Harrowstorm.
Then you must undo it. I'll stay and help. Lyris, you and our friend keep going up and find my father.
Energy. We're waking up. Get ready to fight. A dead end!
We weren't able to stop the attunement spell. It's just getting stronger.
A tower. It must lead to the upper levels. I need time to get that door open.
Everyone, protect Fen! Good job. Through the door into the upper levels now. Hurry!
Now, just... The whole keep. The shaking is getting worse.
Damn magic! Give me something to hit!
The magic. It's Al-Saran. The attunement is almost complete.
We need to find my father. Lyris, take Fen that way. We'll go the other.
The attunement is complete, Svargrim. You and Greymoor Keep are one.
So high up, but still far beneath the ground.
You abandoned me in our moment of triumph? What game do you play, Rada al-Saran?
Game? I gave you power.
Hold, friends! We followed the booming voices. Where's Svargrim?
Now ascend to the power of the moon and unleash my most potent herald.
Interesting.
The Grey
Lyris
Host
assumed the Grey Host was preparing to attack. But it's just as possible they're relocating their forces.
How long has my father been planning this?
Fair enough. Friend, lead the way.
Oh my.
What is it now, Fen?
Oh, nothing. Just don't look down. These tunnels look freshly dug. Harrow fiends. Is that what became of the herald Svargrim brought to Castle Dower?
Harrow fiends, corralled like warhounds about to be set loose. Harrowstorm. It's begun.
Look, above the tower of the wolf. The storm's only partially formed. The Harrow fiends below the temple. If they escape into the streets.
You and I will keep that from happening. Take the princess and deal with Svargrim, partner. Behind us!
The Harrow fiends!
I'm with you, my friend.
Broken loose!
Up the stairs.
Get to the tower and stop Svargrim.
We need to get up the ramp and onto the walls. That's our way to the Tower of the Wolf.
Come to bear witness to my ascension. Radha al-Saran has given me power beyond anything you can imagine. Behold! No! How is this possible?
Why would you do this to our people? My father betrayed everything to aid the Grey Host. With his death, Solitude is saved. It's done. We killed my father and ended the Harrowstorm. The city still stands. Skyrim still stands. Although the Tower of the Wolf may have been damaged beyond repair. No, of course not. My father was the High King of Western Skyrim. I always thought he had the best interests of our holds and our people in his heart. But there was a darkness there. Jealousy, bitterness. He wanted to control all of Skyrim. For Svargrim, yes, I think it was. As for Radha al-Saran and the Grey Host, I'm not entirely sure what they're after. Enough of this. I need to get to work. With my father gone, someone has to pick up the pieces and restore the holds. First, on behalf of Western Skyrim, take this with my thanks. We would have been lost without you. Then, rest. Check on our friends. Injuries must be tended to, buildings repaired. Other wounds will take longer. We'll have more to do soon enough. Whatever Radha al-Saran and the Grey Host were planning, I think the worst is behind us as far as Western Skyrim is concerned. With my with Svargrim dead, their grip on the holds comes to an end. Not officially. At least I don't think so. I feel like the whole world's crumbling around me. But the city's still standing, so that's something. I'm more worried about our friends. We left Lyris and Fen to hold of a horde of Harrow fiends. Hopefully they were able to hold the courtyard and keep those monsters out of the city. You go on ahead and check on them. I need to collect myself. Solitude needs Princess Svanna now. And I'm not quite ready to be her. Thank you. Help them and anyone else as best you can. I'll do the same. Once you're done with them, I'll find you and we can figure out what to do next. Gods, I hope so. Haven't we dealt with enough already? I need to see what happened firsthand. All the suffering and pain my father caused. I can't undo it, but I can make amends. Or at least try to.
Not enough to be worried about.
You did it. I shouldn't be surprised. But things were looking rather bleak before the clouds parted. We held the gate as long as we could. The Harrow fiends were a flood of claws and teeth. Once they burst through, Lyris cleaved through them like a scythe through wheat. But even she couldn't stem the tide. I'm not really sure. I kind of went wild. Let out my inner beast, as it were. I was rending and slashing. Then Lyris whacked me with the flat of her blade. At least that's the last thing I remember. Not my finest hour, but we survived. The elixir is my next priority, of course. As long as the Harrowstorms are still a threat, we need a defense against them. After that, I want to examine the records we took from Greymoor Keep. I still think there's a cure for the Harrowed in there. Sadly, I don't think there's any hope for them. Their life energy was sucked dry, turning them into feral beasts. Restoring them is beyond my capabilities, I'm afraid. At least with the Harrowed, they're not so far gone as to be a lost cause. As soon as we produce enough of it, yes. We saw how it protected Svanna. Now, where did I put my flag?
So, is it over? What happened to Svargrim? And where's Svanna? A parent's betrayal cuts deeper than a sword. But Svanna's strong. Stronger than she's been given credit for. And Solitude's going to need that strength in the coming days. If you told me the tavern rat we met at the Lonely Troll would become my choice to lead this land, I'd have called you mad. Then again, my king's a skald, so what do I know? Come on, there's probably something productive we should be doing. Find out if everyone in the Hall of the Dead is all right. I'll make sure Castle Dour is secured. We did our best to hold the Harrow Fiends inside Castle Dour, but nothing short of stone walls were going to keep those monsters from pushing through. Seemed like everyone I killed was replaced by 2 more. Almost didn't. We were nearly overrun before Fen went wild. I've never seen him like that, snarling and showing what a true vampire can do. Took the Harrow Fiends by surprise and we routed them. I did have to thwack him to clear his head, though.
Ha! Good to see you aren't raising bugs with Ismir just yet. We saw the storm break, but we heard nothing since you departed from Blackreach. We seem to have survived, thank the gods. I thought for certain we were all about to witness the end of the world. No thanks to Svargrim, damn his eyes. After you and the princess went off to Blackreach, I gathered whoever we could, and made our stand here in the Hall of the Dead. I'm just glad we don't have to be permanent residents. Far fewer than I feared when the storm began. Thanks to you and the princess. With the storm over and the Grey Host driven from Castle Dour, my soldiers will get the city back into shape. As long as no one else attacks us in the meantime. When I first pledged myself to the Blue Palace, I never thought I'd have to defend my city from its own king. Practically my whole life. I served in his army when he drove the Reach Dogs back from our gates. The wolf chased them halfway over the Druadoc Mountains before he declared the campaign finished. He was a man to be feared and admired. I don't know when the rot in him started. It crept so slow I never noticed it. Not before it was too late. At some point he became more concerned with holding on to his kingdom than the kingdom itself.
I regret we didn't throw a parade to welcome you back. But I'll cheer enough for 100 souls if you tell me you put that backbiter of a High King to the sword. But what of Svanna? Is she? That's good. But a daughter shouldn't have to kill her own father. Svanna has my support, for whatever that's worth. She's going to need all the help she can get in the days to come. Not until we hold a moot to support her claim, and we need more than a single Jarl for that to occur. If Svanna proves herself as the acting Jarl, might look past her father's failings and make her the queen, eventually.
They're here! They're at the gates! The Grey Host? I thought we were done with them for now.
Not the Grey Host! The Skald King with an army from the east!
What treachery is this?
To the gates. We'll give the Skald King a proper welcome, one way or another.
Stand down, you idiots! We come in peace.
Partner, could really use your knack for diplomacy right now. Speak to the Skald King before we start a war.
Sure save me from fools and prophets. Will no one properly greet a weary traveler? You don't look like one of these Western milk drinkers. Tell them we're not a damn invasion, we're here to help. Maybe you can tell me what's going on. So the rumors are true? Svargrim joined the Grey Host? I knew he had ambitions, but to throw away his humanity like that, it's inconceivable. Svargrim once told me that he would die before welcoming me to Solitude. I suppose he was right. That's why I sent Lyris here in the first place. I'm not the king of these holds, though. I can't do anything if they refuse my help. Svargrim despised me, he would never accept my aid. But Svanna... here she comes now. Let's see what she has to say.
We have no need of help that involves welcoming your soldiers within our walls.
My walls, Jarl. My father may have been willing to slap aside a helping hand, but I'm not. Permit me a word with your envoy, Skald King. Thank you for holding the line, I mean. I'm ready to do what I should have done a long time ago. To do what my father never could. I'll speak with the Skald King. There's one more thing I'd like you to do while I entertain our guests. We saved Solitude, but our war with the Grey Host is far from over. We need Fenn's elixir more than ever. With that, and King Yoren's help, we might just push these monsters back into their grave for good. Check on Fenn's progress, please. That depends on Fenn. If there's anything standing in his way, let me know, and I'll do everything in my power to get him what he needs. Fenn is with old Mjolnir at the Mages Guild. When you're finished with him, join me in the courtyard of the Blue Palace. I'm going to hold a moment of remembrance for this city. We all need a moment to mourn what we lost. I'm going to invite the Skald King to join us. If the people of Solitude see him bow his head along with the rest of us, they may not care about the divide between the East and the West.
Ingenious. A rare thing to find an elf with the makings of a clever woman.
Despite what my kin might proclaim, it's not all in the blood. Ah, good, you're here. We've made a breakthrough. I was just discussing a theory with Mjolnir, and it seems like we're very close to turning this elixir into a true restorative. A cure. Singolis's research on the Netherroot showed me just how it weakens the connection between a body and soul. Thus far, I've been able to inure a person to the root, but now I'm certain I can use that knowledge to heal those weakened bonds. Well, it is just a theory at this point. There's a lot more testing and experimentation to be done before we can produce a viable antidote. Weeks, optimistically? I know. We can't simply put things on hold. Mjolnir and I have a batch brewing right now, and materials to keep producing for another day. Ingerd's promised us a steady supply of Arcase oil, but we know enough about Singolis's refinement processes to replicate his methods. But we still need a source of Netherroot to do so. Tell Svanna that if she can keep us supplied, we can produce enough elixir for all the holds in a matter of weeks. We can ransack Greyhost's stockpiles, or mount an expedition into Blackreach. Otherwise, it would take decades of work to produce a proper crop. After we get the elixir squared away, we'll turn our attention to curing the Herald. Indeed. As I surmised, the Grey Reliquaries contained the remains of ancient Greyhost warriors. They served as a connection to the souls trapped in Cold Harbor. Using the energy from the Harrowstorms, the souls were pulled into the stone husks. I believe the stone husks are incubators of a sort. The physical forms of the Grey Host are reincorporated within the stone vessels, through a mix of Singolis's alchemy and sorcery, and the magic of the Ice Reach witches. When whole, they burst free.
I was hoping you'd return before we began. Tell me you've got good news. I'll feel a lot better delivering a speech about healing and hope, knowing that we're on the road to recovery. What did Fenn have to say about the elixir? Not the best news, but I'll take it. So long as we have enough to protect our soldiers, we have a fighting chance against the Grey Host. I'll go to the Undergrove myself, if that's what it takes. Now that would be cause for celebration. If he can really bring back even a fraction of those we lost to the Harrowstorms, I'm willing to try. That's all I needed to hear. We should begin the ceremony before the crowd grows more restless. Nothing fancy, just a traditional Nord wake. To mourn and celebrate those we've lost, and cherish the lives we still have. I'd like you to join us. None of us would be here to sing dirges for the dead or celebrate the living if not for you. I certainly wouldn't be here, ready to lead my hold. You've supported me since I started down this path. I'm honored to have you here at the end. Sons and daughters of Skyrim, we have the honor today of remembering the dead.
Honor to the fallen.
Sons and daughters of Skyrim, our trials were fierce, but we are still here.
We stand and we remain.
Now, we raise our voices to tell Sovngarde of the coming of the worthy dead, and to tell the world that the Nords are still here. We are still standing!
The fallen now march home to hallowed halls, to join our ancestors in boundless drink and song and brawls. Let sound the horns, let peal the bells, let loose the ancient hymn. We will remain until time ends, we children of Skyrim.
I can't think of a more fitting send-off for my father than Nords of both kingdoms mourning side by side. Skyrim may be divided, but at least our honored dead are united in Sovngarde. Yoren, Redharn, and I need to form a plan to distribute Fenn's elixir and push back against the Grey Host. And acquire more netherroot, it seems. There's a lot to be done, but I'm surrounded by good people. I trust we'll get through this together. I can't leave everything to you, you know. Well, I probably could. But even Greymoor took a rest now and again. Let us shoulder the burden for a while. I'm sure I'll need to call on you again soon enough. I don't know. It's not important, not right now. What matters is rallying the people against the enemy. Our real enemy. If that means seeking the crown, then I'll do what needs to be done. Sovngarde is a place for the honored dead. Svargrim gave up his seat in the Hall of Valor when he made his pact with the Ashen Lord. Wherever he is, I hope he regrets how he got there.
My heart goes out to these people. We are no strangers to conflict back east, but none of our holds have been ravaged by the kind of devastation brought by the Grey Host. We are fortunate that you stopped them. So I've heard. The princess has come a long way from the girl I met so long ago. And I've changed as well. I'm not quite as obnoxious and close-minded as I was when my father first formed the Ebonheart Pact. At least I try not to be. If the princess remains in charge of the Western Holds, I think the chances of true reconciliation are good. My father will certainly do everything he can to make that happen. And so will I. Princess Vana. She's become a very impressive woman.
In their own way, the people of Western Skyrim are as strong as the Nords of the East. Even after so much suffering, they still stand against the howling wind. We shall do everything within our power to help them recover. Blood alone does not make one worthy to rule a hold, let alone an entire kingdom. The princess will lead for now, but many questions must be answered before the Jarls crown a new ruler of Solitude. That's what a moot is for. If Princess Vana agrees, I want to bring more of my people from Eastmarch to help restore Solitude and the Western Holds. My retinue is too small to deal with everything. We need more hands. All I can do is to offer my aid in good faith. Whether they decide to grab my hand or to slap it away, that's up to them. Despite our differences, I love this land. It's as much Skyrim as my beloved Eastern Holds. I would not see it suffer. Today, no, the time isn't right. As for the future, who can say? Svargrim was never interested in finding a path to reconciliation. Princess Vana isn't a father, that much is clear. So I suppose I can hope.
Princess Jarl Svanna reminds me more of the Queen every passing moment. We're in good hands, I think. I'll pledge myself to her, if she'll have me. I was fool enough to follow Svargrim as long as I did, so it's more than I deserve. He did, but I was by his side day in and day out. If anyone should have seen what he was becoming and put a stop to it, it was me. I I owe a lot to Solitude for my failure. If Svanna allows me to repay it, I'll be glad.
I hadn't had a moment to honor the fallen of Morthal since you came to my doorstep. Kind willing, they made their passage to Sovngarde. When things are settled here, Jarlmarch has weathered these storms better than Hafingar and Carthal. If we can keep the kingdom from complete collapse, it's worth a few weeks away from my home and hearth.
I'm glad to be done with this. Diplomacy and investigation aren't my favorite pastimes. They seem to suit you, though. You stepped up to the task better than I could have hoped. I'll be staying so long as Yoren's here, or until I can persuade him to send me after Rada al-Saran. That leech owes a lot of blood to us, and I intend to squeeze it out of him. We have to find him first. Whatever his plans were after sacking Solitude, we haven't uncovered them. With any luck, the Skald King will send me on a raid of the Grey Host, and I can beat some answers out of a few of them. Count on it.
I could not have said it better myself. Princess Svanna will make a fine ruler. Of course, some may choose to blame her for her father's misdeeds, but I will seek forgiveness from them. There have been enough divisions of blood and feuding. It is a new day. This is a time to mend rifts and forge new bonds.
We made it through, if barely. When the clouds began to gather over Castle Dower, I feared I'd have to witness. Thank you for stopping it. I don't know that my heart could bear another Carthwatch. The rest of Carthold fared as poorly as its capital. The hold has been laid to waste, its people dead or scattered. With so few left to rebuild and resettle, I fear the Reachmen will come to claim it long before the Nords set roots there again. I have already pledged myself to Svanna. I will serve as her court mage. I hope to counsel her better than I did Jarl Ulfwen. For now, I've used my status in the Mages Guild to solicit their aid in producing the Harrowstorm elixir.